Well, first thing I'd like to do is congratulate Brett and the Illini football team on the it's the quickest I've seen you move, Kent. That's pretty impressive. But congratulate Brett and the football team on a great way to end their season and winning the Land of the Lincoln Trophy and doing it in a very, very impressive manner. So that's exciting to see what he's building there. Going to the ACC Challenge, always a tremendous event. It's the two best basketball conferences in the country getting together and doing something that I think is really good for basketball. I think it's one of those events that fans like to see. That is something that ESPN does a great job of televising and pushing, and it's an event that I think is great for basketball, great for the fans, and one that I know we enjoy being a part of. So Notre Dame is they're coming off a shortened trip to Maui, as they only had to go to Vegas to play in the Maui Invitational. But there's a backstory behind that between Coach Bray and I, as we had to come back from Maui and play at their place a few years ago in what was a awful trip back, and he gets a little break with the abbreviated trip to Vegas this year in the same turnaround. But a veteran team, Mike does an unbelievable job. This is a team that has some guys back from the first time we played them. And so they have great size. They're a team that shoots the ball extremely well. If you let them catch and shoot in the spot they catch it, it's probably going in. They're a team that is will mix up some defenses, play a variety of zones, play man primarily. They're sneaky good in transition. And then they're a team that can really stretch the floor with their 4s and 5s, being able to shoot it. And yet I think one of the big changes I've seen, and not studying a lot of last year's Notre Dame team, but this team is remarkably better when they come off the bench. They play a little smaller. The freshman from right there in South Bend, I think he had 21 in his opener, is an athletic, shot-making, very, very talented player. And Mike does a great job moving him around. He plays a lot of different positions, and he gives them tremendous punch off the bench. So again, big challenge for us. We're going to be challenged in our defensive principles, in some of the actions that they run, and we've got to step up and obviously play better than we did the other night against Rio Grande Valley, against a veteran Notre Dame team.
Brad, when you've had a lot of guys out, there's been a lot of questions about how offense can get in sync and chemistry and all that. But what about on the defensive side when you're dealing with a lot of guys out? What expectations can you set for your team on that?
Yeah, it's the same thing. We spend an enormous amount of time defensively trying to build chemistry. Most of my coaching philosophy is based around playing guys that make the fewest defensive mistakes. I think that's the way you win a championship, is you make fewer and fewer mistakes on the defensive side. We weren't very good the other night. We didn't play with very much passion either. We played extremely, and when I say this, extremely soft the other night. As soft as any team in the history of my career has ever played on that end of the floor. We got our chests caved in. we got to solve that. We were soft, and we were not very tenacious on the ball, and obviously Trent Curbelo being gone not impacted that a great deal. But you know, and I don't want to take anything away from Rio Grande Valley, but yeah, it was not one of our more impressive games, and we got to get that solved.
Do you have any update on Trent, Bello, Jake, Pods, any of those guys?
Would you like to keep adding to the list?
Do I need to add?
Ben is out, so add that one. I don't know yet. I am doing my biggest Mel Tucker. Was that his name at Michigan State? I'm going to do my best impersonation of him today and tomorrow. What they have 23 guys out, 21 guys out, something with the flu and different variations of stuff. I have no idea. As I'm walking down the court today, I have no idea who I've got. We've definitely got the flu bug going around. We did not practice yesterday because of everything that we have going on and going around. I have never in my 35 years not practiced because of that. So yes, we're all in a tough spot.
Just matchup wise, Notre Dame, I mean, in terms of maybe offensive rebounds, they don't let other teams get them, and you have been getting them. Just what's that head-to-head look like?
Depends who I've got on the court. Right now we've moved our best rebounder, DeMonte Williams, to the point, which led to some of our transition problems the other night early in that game. So, yeah, again, we've been just so distorted. Curbelo's got to do a better job getting back. Hutch is a really good offensive rebounder, and he didn't go very hard the other night. We got to get him going, but we can't be reliant upon Kofi to get every rebound. And I thought early in the year Jake was extremely effective. Obviously, not having him, we've got to get Coleman back in those chasing balls things. That's where he was so active and put so many fouls on people early in the year. But they're great at it. They're underneath you all the time. They never give you an easy route to the rim. So they're always between you and the basket.
Hey, Coach, Luke Goody looks like a guy, for a freshman who looks like he's ready for a big stage like this. From a confidence standpoint, have you seen the same thing out of him?
Yeah, Luke doesn't lack for confidence. He's very, very confident. He's very smart. It was unfortunate we didn't get to use him in Kansas City, and really unfortunate because we literally only played him 5 or 6 trips in preparation, unsure of whether he was going to be able to play, and then we throw him out there, and he was learning everything on the fly the other night. But he's cerebral, he's smart, he's tough, he's not afraid to take a shot, and he's going to have to be huge for us tomorrow.
Hey, Coach, sticking with Luke Goody, where does his toughness come from, in your opinion? Because you've talked about that a lot.
I think it's all the way you're raised. You're reared, you're brought up. His dad was a football player. His mindset. He's a football player. He's not afraid to get smacked. He's not afraid to get popped. He's not afraid to talk trash. He's not afraid to. He's just got a competitive. Everything about him is competitive. It's a great quality to have. And if somebody runs a 5:02 mile, he wants to run a 5:01 mile. And, he is just, doesn't matter if somebody's playing checkers, he wants to win. So he's just a ultra competitive kid, and he was raised that way and brought up that way. And usually when you find ultra competitive kids, you find pretty tough kids.
Coach, you mentioned you were able to rule out the ACL with Trent. Anything else you were able to rule out, or any more clarity just as far as the severity of that injury or the overall timeline?
Yeah, we don't know the timeline yet. You know, it's one of those things that I think he does something and then you see how he reacts to it. And it's usually the next day. You know, it's whether there's swelling, whether there's stiffness, soreness, what is it? You know, I don't even know the medical terms that they've used for it, but you know, I guess you would say he's a day by day, week by week. I don't even know that. I know he's not doing anything. So other than you know, he was on a bike yesterday trying to pedal a bike at half a mile an hour.
I guess, how did you get to the point where you decided you couldn't practice yesterday? Just what was the final trigger where maybe just didn't you have enough guys at that point?
When you factor that in, along with the fact that minutes played from some guys the other night, you know, you've got to figure out what is your risk reward of, you know, if everybody's healthy. Yesterday's a great day to just grind their asses and get after them, because we didn't play very well the other night, and just it's November and it's a day to get better, and it's a day to really grind them mentally and charge them up and get going. And but there was no reward in doing that yesterday, and we didn't have enough bodies, and we don't, you know, there's guys logging a lot of minutes that you know, if healthy, we'll need to do the same thing again tomorrow night.
Your experience, Brad, is there a worse form of criticism than for you to sit up here and go, we were soft? Like in your language,
No,
like is
it's
that as bad as it gets?
Yeah.
And
I can correct it. I can correct lack of execution, and we can blame that on a lot of things. Getting our chest caved in, literally on drives, on not guarding the ball, and getting run over and not blocked out. I mean, that's on me. We were soft. We got bulldozed.
I guess I just have to ask this: is it just regular flu? Since we're all still sitting here wearing masks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you call it. I don't know. Has anybody got a better definition of fever, body aches, fatigue? We've had a couple of cases of the vomiting and diarrhea and that as well, but most of it has been just the fever, body aches, lack of whatever. So, yeah, I guess that's the flu.
I just should have phrased it better. Not COVID. Are they testing?
Everybody else around us has COVID, but our players have not. We've got, within our staff, we've got COVID amongst families, but that's neither here nor there right now.
Getting back to the guard penetration that you mentioned 2 answers ago, you had some backdoor cut problems earlier in the year. What do you need to do in practice to shore that up?
Yeah, those were just technique. You know, those were just seeing both, Rob. Those weren't as much of I think we've got some of those. I think we've got some of those things cleaned up with technique. You know, and I don't feel like most of our issues the other night were just, you know, getting straight line drove. We were so dependent on a ball screen coverage being there, and they didn't set them. And you know, our guards got just shifted their feet and you know, started looking, turning both ways, looking for screens, and there weren't any screens. So the backdoor stuff, I think we've got cleared up, I hope.
necessities, you'll probably put the freshmen out there more than maybe was an original plan. But how much of these minutes helped Luke, RJ? I mean, Brandon getting a few still.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have played Brandon the other night. That was really unfair to him. Brandon had spent a second in practice and wasn't in walkthrough, and that's how we were depleted wise. But and he was dead energy wise. But hopefully he's better. But yeah, for the freshmen got to play, and they've got to match the physicality of the game. They've got to match the intensity of the game. They've got to make the most of their opportunities. And I've said it all along. I love this group. I think they're really talented. And with that, they lack some experience, but got to grow up. And that's what we're here to do. And they're going to have those opportunities presented to them tomorrow night.
Brad, with all the things going on in the locker room with the illness, have you started to place an emphasis on, washing hands, masking when you're in the locker room? Are you taking precautions to stop spreading things on a consistent basis?
Yes, absolutely. And it's the problem you can't do is, you can't, it's hard to control other people. We live in an apartment complex with a lot of other people. We live, where we live, going to classes, we're traveling, we're, there's a lot of those things going on that we can't control. Last year when we were locked down, it was easy to control it. Nobody got a cold, nobody got a sniffle, nobody got the flu, nobody got anything because we didn't do anything and we were all masked up constantly. So, it's not just us, a lot of other teams around the country are going through some of the same things in both football and basketball. But yeah, we are talking about all those things and begging guys to get sleep and rest and hydrate and wash their hands and mask up and do all the things that we normally would.
Coach, I think you would have characterized last year's team as pretty tough and brought a lot of guys back. I know in the offseason you said we got to be tougher. You mentioned Friday you were soft. What would you attribute that to?
I don't know yet. I think right now we're at a point. It's probably on me. The way we've haven't had everybody constantly enough to practice to get. I think today's practice 39 or 40. To get, we've got certain guys that are really tough. I don't want to put everybody, but as a collective group, it's the cliche. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and we've got to play meaner. We've got to play nastier. We've got to play tougher. We've got to dive on the floor for loose balls. We've got to have toughness coming from execution, toughness, and we have been so. I mean, we haven't had everybody in a long time, and so when you want to grind on them mentally and practice and make it a really hard, stressful practice, we haven't had any of those in a long time, and we could have those about 3 times a week last year. And we've got to get back to those. Today's going to be one of those days with whoever we have. We've got to grind a little bit. We've got to learn to execute. We've got to demand every angle of every screen, and if not, there's consequences. And we haven't. And yesterday would have been a great opportunity to do that, and instead we don't practice.
Maybe in a similar vein, you mentioned a few weeks ago looking for leadership, floor leadership right now. And maybe that's because of guys in and out. But I do remember 2 seasons ago, you were looking for the same thing about this time of year. I think it's fair to say that showed up eventually. Does that kind of give you a blueprint or hope for, that kind of thing emerging here in this squad eventually?
Yeah. And we've got leadership. It's the DeMonte Williams the other night was incredible. I mean, and Trent every day is incredible. It's got to be that continued voice every day. And and the same expectation. Kofi is an unbelievable leader. Kofi has turned into. It's not that we lacked it. 2 years ago we lacked it, and it's the constant or the inconsistencies we've got this year because we don't have. We've just. I mean, how many starting lineups have I had? I don't even know what my starting lineup will be tomorrow. I have no clue. But that's how you build it. You build it through the continuity and the sameness and the boredom of details and all of that. And that's and we haven't had some of that yet. But I know this. We're going to show up tomorrow night. We're going to fight our asses off, and we're going to compete. And if we've got 6 guys in uniform, we got 6. I relish those opportunities. I don't look at them as a pity party. I look at them as an opportunity to do something that nobody in the world thinks we can do, and everybody wants to wallow in pity. That sure as the hell's not me.
Coach, other than the intangible of being tougher and more physical, what kind of things do you need to clean up against Notre Dame defensively? Has it been communication or rotation, or what are some of the things you got to do better?
Yeah, all those things, because Notre Dame's a veteran team. They'll capitalize on every mistake that you make, and everything starts with communication on the defensive side. And I think once you get, we had 5 or 6 communication errors last game. We had 3 or 4 just very, very simple scouting report mistakes. You make a scouting report mistake against them, and our coverage is set to it. They're going to make you pay, and we're getting better at those. We clean those up, and we'll spend a very detailed day today on trying to make sure we know what we're doing exactly and how we have to communicate it.
Coach, I know it's the injury bug, but assuming you guys are healthy and you have the toughness problem, do you think you could still play that speed, that tempo that you've been preaching all offseason that you really want to see this team do while being the same toughness? I mean, does that energy of being tough kind of take away from being able to go so fast?
To answer, no. I mean, I think they go hand in hand. I think one of the things that we've always predicated ourselves on, and we're going to continue to run, and we're going to continue to look for our opportunities and do that. I think we can't lose sight of who we are. We've got offensive rebound. We've got to guard people. We've got to smack people in the mouth. We've got to execute. We've got to do those things. If our pace is down, our pace is down. I just didn't like the fact that we were so passive the other night. And toughness is a variety of things, but when we needed to execute, we missed a screen, or those are the toughness things. When you're tired and you're fatigued and you don't execute, that's toughness. And into last season, hell, we had to screen, we screened, and it's those things that toughness is a wide, it's a broad term and word, and so it's not just the physical, it's the mental that goes with that as well.
I imagine a couple years ago when you guys played Notre Dame, it's maybe something that's still in the memory of yours and Trent Frazier, the shot that kind of bounces in and out. Have you placed an emphasis on, these late game situations, and maybe how has your team grown from the last time you played Notre Dame to now, or are you kind of trying to figure that out again without Ayo?
We were really good at them. We've been really good at them in the last few years. To say we were working on them a lot. Again, here the last couple of weeks, I say we're not working on them. We're always working on them. We're trying to figure out, who, what, where, but it's hard to know who when you don't know who you've got from, shoot around to game time. So, but yeah, we're working on it. We work on situations a lot, and I'm feeling pretty comfortable with the package we've got, and it starts with number 21 in the middle, and I think we've got a guy that's been pretty electric from three, and I'm a big believer in Coleman and his ability, and to make shots. So I think we've got a variety of guys that can do some things in those situations.
With a nationally televised game, a name opponent, you think to this building getting back to peak levels, what it was late 2020, how much is that punch maybe going to help a team that might need it given your circumstances?
I hope so. That's what we play these things for. That's what they're recruited here to do, is to be a part of games like this. We've got the best fan base in the country, and all of our games are national television. So, but it's no different. But it is the ACC Challenge. So, that's what this sport's about. It's what playing basketball at Illinois is about, and great opponent and a team that's going to be at the top of their conference, and you want to be a part of big games. And you know what, I've sat here and talked about this and that, and you know what, we're going to show up and we're going to fight. I know that, and we can't control certain issues, but what we can control is the name on the front of our jersey, and how hard we're going to play and how hard we're going to fight. Thank you.